I think it's a question that you have to. You know, if you look at how the Chinese people, and this is why, to me, it was very self-evident that the entire West and even some of the democracy movement people had a little bit missed the point. The point is, this is not about China. It's not about the Chinese people. It's not about Lao Beijing, right? The Chinese people, if you look at through the rest of the world, in Taiwan and in Hong Kong and in Singapore, the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, if you look wherever the Chinese people have gone throughout the world, where they've had the ability of rule of law, and that's why I talked to Miles about in November of 2018 of starting the Rule of Law Society and the Rule of Law Foundation, was that if you've seen where the Chinese people throughout the world have had access to the rule of law, they flourish. And I just said, why are the decent, hardworking Chinese people that have been such a success throughout the rest of the world, when they really came to the rest of the world with nothing, right? And they came to Hong Kong essentially with nothing. And Hong Kong had no natural resources. The Chinese people have gone throughout the world with no advantages. Didn't understand the language, didn't have a lot of money, came very poor or lower middle class. And why have the Chinese people thrived the rest of the world? Because of the rule of law. And it is outrageous to me that in China, which I've have a lot of affinity for and love for since I started going in the mid-70s, how the Chinese people can essentially be treated like beasts of burden by the Chinese Communist Party, a dictatorship, a remnant of the 20th century when now we're in the 21st century. That you could have a firewall because the Chinese people are just too unsophisticated, right, and too unruly to actually have access to all the information in the world, when every other nation on earth, right, no matter what stage of development, has basically, except for North Korea and Iran part of it, has full access to all information no matter where they are in the development stage. It's just outrageous. It's outrageous to me that the decent, hardworking people of China who have thrived everywhere else in the world, in their own country, are treated like slaves and essentially treated like animals. And it is, to me, just quite logical that it's time for the CCP to go. The CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, represents the unfinished business of the 20th century. Essentially, all the other dictatorships, meaningful dictatorships, are gone. The Soviets, the Nazis, the fascists, the military junta in Japan, all got swept away. The only one remaining is the Chinese Communist Party. And the horror that they have inflicted upon the Chinese people, to me, is as bad as any dictatorship did to their own people. The Great Leap Forward, the Great Famine, the Cultural Revolution, hundreds of millions of decent, hardworking, innocent Chinese people tortured, beaten, and many of them killed, hundreds of millions. And what brought it to mind recently was the Chinese Communist Party didn't care how many people in Hubei province or how many people in Wuhan would die from the CCP virus. They just don't care. The Chinese people mean nothing to them. And so to me, it's inevitable the CCP has to fall. And I think it will fall, and it will fall relatively quickly if this movement continues to attract the quality of people it's attracted in the last couple of years. Quite frankly, I am stunned and blown away by the quality of and quantity of Chinese people throughout the world that are coming together around the whistleblower movement, the Rule of Law Society, the Rule of Law Foundation, and wanting to stand up now in support of the Himalaya Supervisory Organization and the new federal state of China. It's stunning to me. The quality and the depth of people is just amazing. And so I think the CCP's days are numbered. And one of the principal reasons I think it's numbered is represented in the new flag. That star in the middle represents spiritual values. It represents God. And I have noticed in the last several years, as I work with the Chinese people, there's a real yearning for spiritual values, whether it's Buddhist, whether it's Muslim, whether it's Christian, Catholic, whatever the faith path or journey is, they seek something more than atheistic, materialistic, totalitarian dictatorship communism. And so I think that is something that's very powerful. And the Chinese people are looking back to get to their philosophical and spiritual sustenance. And I think it's the CCP's days are numbered. It's just how hard are we going to work? Because remember, only the Chinese people can free the Chinese people. The rest of the world's there to assist and to help, but only the Chinese people can free the Chinese people. So we'll have to see, but I believe that the CCP's days are numbered.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.